The other thing I think a lot of captains find difficult, you have to remain a little bit aloof. Did you find that difficult? You have to sort of separate yourself at times.
Yes and no. I think I'd like to think I've got a fairly good relationship with most of the lads to be able to be fairly honest with them. From a professional standpoint, I think I've always been fairly good at, I'd like to think, I suppose you could tell me you were my boss at one point. I want to go down to the academy sessions, try and bring in those guys into the professional setup a little bit more, let them understand what it is, one, to be a professional, and two, what standards we have and how to go about it. We genuinely have guys all over the world playing cricket. You've got a limited career as a cricketer, go and play. Go and play in Australia, go and enjoy life, go and play. There's no point in running around a track in November. Go and hit balls, go and experience life. Go and sit in a wine reserve in Australia and get paid to do it because you're playing every weekend, or you're playing in the Big Bash, or you in Pakistan. Go and play.
Hello and welcome to Emirates Old Trafford for another edition of Beyond the Boundary. Today I'm delighted to have alongside me Keaton Jennings, captain of Lancashire in his first year, just finished in 2023. So Keaton, nice to see you.
Nice to see
you.
You
It
all.
was a challenging year for you, wasn't it? What are your lasting impressions of first dibs at captaincy then?
Yeah, interesting year. For me personally, it was started the season, had 3 or 4 games and then pulled a hamstring. So that was it was meant to be a 12-week injury, was back in 9, so kind of rushed back. So frustrating. You feel like as you're kind of getting into a bit of momentum in terms of moulding the way you'd like things to happen and the way you'd like things to go, and suddenly you're out the frame. Missed all the T20s and then kind of thrown back in against Surrey down at the Oval. But I'd say as a whole, I learnt loads. I think, about myself, about the squad, about the way things work. It feels like herding cats at times.
Well, you must have had plans and thoughts going into the season, and as you say, that you had that unfortunate injury. But overall, when you were planning for the season, did those plans come to fruition, or was it all very different? Was it a question of more of thinking on your feet than being able to plan going forward?
I think a little bit of both. I think there were plans that definitely did come off, and there were plans that we had the way we wanted to structure teams in certain venues that definitely came off. A lot of it is thinking on your feet when you lose 2 days to rain and suddenly now you've got to try and force a result. But it was a little bit of both. I think Chappie was very good for that as well. Chappie and Crowe were outstanding at managing energy levels and managing the way they want the squad to kind of shape throughout the season. I think they were very good. They helped me out massively in that regard. I suppose I was something that I just never really done. As a player, you just turn up, you know you're going to play, or you hope you're going to play if you performed, and you just turn up and do it. As a captain, I suppose you got a very different hat on your head.
Well, you look at the game from a different perspective, don't you? As you say, you turn up, you open the batting, and then you stand at slip. I wouldn't say it's a piece of cake, but in comparison with having to think about everything that goes on the field, and perhaps and probably more so what goes on off it, how did you react to that?
I think one of the big things I felt, and I said to Crowe and Chappie throughout the year, when somebody does well, you feel it that much more. When somebody does poorly, you feel that stress a little bit more. I remember Baldy got his first 100, and I genuinely couldn't watch. I'm watching a young lad go about his work, and he's actually doing it beautifully. There wasn't nicking off every ball and kind of with a huge amount of luck. He went about the process of scoring 100 beautifully. I couldn't watch. I couldn't sit there and watch that moment because I wanted him to do so well. On the reverse, when guys had done poorly, it's like you're so elated for them when they pull themselves out of that little rut. I found that very different to kind of just being a player. You watch with keen interest, but it's that weight that you want the guy to do well changed quite significantly. I found that quite interesting halfway through the year.
The other thing I think a lot of captains find difficult is that they go from being one of the lads and having good team spirit and bonding and all your mates around, and you might have 2 or 3 guys that you get on slightly better with than the rest. As captain, you have to remain a little bit aloof. Did you find that difficult? You have to sort of separate yourself at times.
Yes and no. I think I'd like to think I've got a fairly good relationship with most of the lads to be able to be fairly honest with them. From a professional standpoint, I think I've always been fairly good at I'd like to think, I suppose you could tell me you were my boss at one point. I think I've always been fairly good at being professional around the environment. I think that's something I pride myself on, making sure that those standards are upheld, whether it's my best mate in the side or whether it's a guy that I just kind of have to work with. Obviously, there's different working relationships you have within the squad. But no, I think I found that okay. Hopefully the lads have enjoyed it.
Yeah. Would it be fair to say that's one of the things that might frustrate you, or that it takes a bit of getting used to, is the fact that not everybody approaches the game the way you do?
Definitely takes getting used to. There's one or two lads in the side which you have to give them freedom to do what they want to do. You can't restrict, you can't take away that autonomy of them making that decision. I've learned that fairly quickly, because otherwise the human nature is to push back even more and just do your own thing even more. So I had to get used to that fairly quickly. But again, you learn those characters quickly, otherwise you fall out. It doesn't make people bad people, or the values are bad. Guys are high performing professionals. They just do things a different way, and I think you have to accept that.
Lancashire men's team came into the 2023 season having been runners-up in all three main competitions, which was disappointing in itself. But there was a heightened feeling of expectation about 2023, and unfortunately there was no success.
Yeah.
How did that nag and gnaw away at you through the season? And when did the realisation that Lancashire weren't going to win anything, when did that dawn? And how did you react, and how did the team react?
It's probably nagged away at the squad generally for the last couple of years. I think we've had shots ever since I've been here to try and get into knockouts. We made 2 or 3 finals days. I think every year we've been in a knockout of some format. Last year it was actually fairly on in that quarter final against Gloucester. We were 4-5 down fairly quickly, and that thought, obviously you want to win, you have that belief you're going to win, but the thought does cross your head of, is it going to be another year where you've got yourself into a position but haven't quite got over the line? It's really frustrating, and then you go into the last month of the season realistically trying to hold on to a mid-table finish because first and second were so far ahead. And it's frustrating because for many reasons you can point fingers at loads, the weather, surfaces, ourselves as players. I always think as much of it is, I mean, you'll know you as a player you can influence the game by...
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? But when there's a generality of success, which Lancashire have, the question that gets asked is, why haven't we been able to cross the line and go? And have you any? I mean, it's the sort of thing you agonise over for days and weeks. But have you any idea why it is? You think that Lancashire find it just difficult to pin down that silverware? Well, if you knew the answer.
Exactly. Yeah. I suppose one of those things, I look back and I'm critical of myself at certain points. I think we could have been braver in maybe when we declared or when we pushed our foot on the gas from a batting point of view. And that's not a finger point at anybody. It's how can we get ourselves into a position to win. I think we were the highest run rate from a batting point of view, I think, in the country. So it wasn't like we weren't scoring quickly, but could we have gone quicker earlier to try and get ourselves a little bit more time? I don't know. But I've had sleepless nights. You sit nights.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, opening bats by nature are cautious. There are some that are flyers, but more are cautious. Do you think that perhaps transfers itself into the way you approach the game as captain, or have you got a more open mind?
I've got a much more open mind. I think in the last couple of years, I think I've gone about my cricket completely differently. Crowe's been a big influence on that. Just pushing skill level, pushing what you perceive to be your limitation. Funny enough, Wellesley's been a big kick in that as well. He's approached, I suppose, his career's followed a similar path to mine. Both started off as quote-unquote stodgy left-handers, good looking as well, but stodgy.
That's for you to say. I couldn't possibly comment on that. But anyway, yeah, go on. Yeah.
But I think we've both tried to push each other's level, and we played a game here against Notts where we wanted to try and force a result in 2 days, and we went out. I think we went out at 5.5, 6 and over. So can we do that more often? I don't know. Maybe that forces a result. Maybe it doesn't.
Lancashire, I think it's fair to say, back end of 23 are now in a transitional phase. The head coach has moved on. Senior players, Dane Villas has finished playing. Rob Jones has moved on. Danny Lamb's moved on. Matt Parkinson's moved on. So there's going to be a bit of a change coming into 2024. Obviously, you will regret some of that, but you may find it refreshing as well. What do you think?
It's definitely a change of environment. You've got some big characters, some characters that have had a massive influence on the environment for a long period of time. They've now left. Chappie was here for 31, 32 years. So there's a massive character, a massive part of Lancashire's history that isn't directly involved in the squad anymore. Players' point of view, Sam old Parky's been here, what's he now, 26, 27. He's been here 12, 13, 14 years, all of his playing career. So guys will be a miss. But in the same way, you've got new guys that move in with fresh energy, with fresh eyes. That's how guys get an opportunity to grow their career. That's how I did. That's, I'm assuming, how you did as well. And it's exciting. Obviously, that comes with a level of naivety, a level of youth, which is brilliant. Actually, I say youth, I feel like I'm quite old.
Well, you must be 30. What are you?
31. I feel about 61 today after the gym.
But it's also going to give you an extra added challenge as captain, because you're going to have to assimilate this younger talent into the team, which, as I say, might be refreshing, but it might also be tricky at times.
Absolutely, and mistakes will happen. That's what guys haven't played at quantity of professional, high-quality cricket. Mistakes are going to happen. They're going to misread situations, which in a way is good because it doesn't come with a level of fear. But it might those mistakes are going to happen, essentially. So it's how quickly can we create that learning cycle for guys to learn off of the older heads in the change room. Myself, Wellesley, I'm going to call Boshi an older head. He looks 45. He's only 25. But those older heads that have played the game for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, Jimmy included in there as well, he's brilliant at giving that energy and giving the knowledge back to guys. He's absolutely outstanding. So hopefully we can create the learning cycle quite quickly.
Everybody loves playing here at Emirates Old Trafford. It's a great stadium now. It's got a great history and heritage. But it is difficult to play cricket on here and win 4-day matches, especially when we're blessed with not the best weather in the country. You lose maybe a session and it makes it difficult. What can you do about that?
To be honest, I don't know. It's one of those where I think we can be brave with the surfaces we play on. Can we leave more grass on it? Can we under-prepare it? Can we over-prepare it and maybe get it really dry? Those are things that we're absolutely willing to look at, because nobody wants to see a 13-wicket 4-day game. It just doesn't make for good entertainment.
No, I mean, we're not talking about connivance here or total control whatever. We're just talking about making the surfaces just a little bit more user-friendly, if you like. I mean, there was a classic example last summer. You played a championship game on the test wicket, and it was flat as a pancake after 9 days, wasn't it?
So they had the test on it. They played,
3.5 days?
There was 2 or 3 days in between that and then our 4-day game, and then we played a full 4 days on it. I think there was only 26 wickets fell in that 4-day game. I think Northants walked off after day one at 320 for 4, 320 for 5 or something, and genuinely we felt like they were 50, 60, 70 under par on that day. It was so hard to create anything. So like you say, it's incredibly hard. If we can get Murali back, that would be ideal.
You have to wheel him out. But
absolutely. But no, look, but guys have tried to. I mean, we got, I think it was the Northants game. We got 500 in a day. So we've tried to push the game forward. It's just been hard work to try and get 20 wickets.
It's a curious anomaly in the game, because you want those types of wickets for 1-day cricket, and Lancashire are still at the top of the tree in terms of T20 and 50 over cricket. Okay, we haven't won tournaments, but our record is good.
Absolutely, and our record of producing players for England is second to none as well. We got guys travelling away in the next couple of weeks to the West Indies in the squads. We have guys at the World Cup, so we're consistently producing players for England, consistently getting into knockout stages, and it is about the guys taking ownership, talking about winning, and doing it, and going and winning some silverware. Because, like you said, back in the 90s, I know Boshi jokes around with some of the interviews he's done, Lancashire 90s, but there was a winning tradition and winning culture within that change room that we need to uphold again.
So 2023 didn't go quite according to plan. Let's look forward to 2024 in terms of your approach. You don't know who's going to be coach yet.
Yeah.
How big a bearing does the coach have on counties and county cricket? Because there's a bit of a shift away from coaching in international cricket.
Yeah.
A bit more easygoing, let's say fair boy, the boys will just be fine. What's your feeling about coaches and county cricket?
I think you probably have more contact point, or more contact time. You've spending hours and hours and hours with guys from March to the end of September, bus time. I mean, especially from here, 2 hours away from your nearest fixture. So your contact time is quite high. There's a lot of cricket and a lot of games. So I think they will have a big influence. I think your man management, the way you go about sort of managing players' energy levels, happiness of the squad, I think the coach can have a huge influence on. And a captain. It's not solely the coach. Players as well, you in each other's pocket all the time, but I think the coach really drives that ethos. So I think the coach will have a massive bearing on that when he does come in, and it'll be his vision, of how he wants to do things.
In the interim, are you having more of an influence? Do you get involved more in practice sessions than maybe you would have done? Now there's no head coach here, and do you look? How far down the ladder do you go? Do you go down to obviously the professional staff, but do you go and have a look at the academy at all?
So that's something I'm starting to look at now. From next week, I'm going to go down to the academy sessions, try and bring in those guys into the professional setup a little bit more, let them understand what it is, one, to be a professional, and two, what standards we have and how to go about it. Try and do that a little bit more next year as well, get the guys into the change room. Not so they become familiar with the lads, but also so that they know what level they need to approach. From a training point of view now, I've had a little bit more of an input. Myself and Crowe have worked quite nicely. But also we've been quite lucky that I think we've only got 5 or 6 lads here for a period of time before Christmas. So we genuinely have guys all over the world playing cricket. So not that somebody else's problem, but guys are looking after themselves and making sure they're ready for their next challenge from a cricketing point of view.
What would you prefer them to do? Stay here or go abroad?
Go abroad. You've got a limited career as a cricketer. Go and play. Go and play in Australia. Go and enjoy life. Go and play. There's no point in running around a track in November. Go and hit balls. Go and experience life. Go and sit in a wine reserve in Australia and get paid to do it because you're playing every weekend, or you're playing in the Big Bash, or you in Pakistan. Go and play. You don't get better by sitting on the couch or running around a track. You get better by playing cricket. I'm a big advocate of that. And
personally, where is Keaton Jennings now? He's started his career obviously back in South Africa, then at Durham, been at Lancashire a considerable amount of time now. Senior player, captain, been in and out of the England setup. Where are you? What's your view of the next 10 years of cricket?
So funny enough, I thought you were going to ask me this, and I sat and I thought, and I remember, might have actually been in this room, we sat years ago, and I'd just fallen out of the England equation while you were still DOC at the club, and I remember you having a conversation to me, with me, around where my head was I thinking about still playing for England, how I felt, and I remember I gave you a bit of not a false answer, but I said I'm 100% focused on Lancs, and that's exactly where I was. You see, you're smiling because you know.
Yeah.
And I can still remember feeling in the bottom of my stomach that I still had unfinished business with England. I still wanted to play. Everybody wants to play.
Yeah, of course.
You'd play more Test cricket if you could now. That feeling's amazing. But I can genuinely sit here now and say I've had my chance. I've enjoyed it. Did some things well, did some things poorly. But my focus is different now. I've got a squad of players that I can watch success grow through them as well. You can try and influence their careers, try and help guys out, and if I play for England, cool. It's not nagging at me every night now when I sit and have a glass of wine with my fiance. I'm trying to achieve something else. It's
so you're not beating yourself up over it anymore.
No,
it's que sera, whatever
100%.
will be, basically.
100%.
Well, I think that's quite a good place to be in, because
100%.
you've still got a long time left ahead of you, haven't you?
100%.
I mean,
I'd love to play for the next. I'm 31. I'm fit, touch wood, healthy. I've had a couple of tears, but I've changed my sort of prep in the way I want to get ready.
yeah.
How
How have you done that? I mean, you had two pretty horrendous muscle injuries, haven't you?
Yeah, so 2000
Significant.
2021, I blew through basically all the muscles
Calf.
of my calf, tendon, blew through the lot. Crutches for 3 weeks, walking. It was that was hard work. Last season, tore my hamstring, had a 20 centimeter tear laterally through the
20 centimetres?
20 centimeter tear. So yeah, basically through the middle of the tendon, top to bottom, or bottom to top, whichever way you want to call it. So that was, I went to a 12-week injury back in 9. It's just part and parcel. You sit with Burnsy, who's the world's greatest human being, and you try and decode why, but essentially it's just one of those things, and you've got to fire up and go again. So
You believe that it's just a couple of coincidences, really? There's no physiological reason why this happens?
Hopefully not.
No.
But I think I'm a believer that you can do things to influence it. So prep, recovery, change my nutrition a little bit, stretching. I know it's fairly dull stuff, but starting to stretch, yoga, sort of making sure that you are actually pliable. You're not just sort of stiff as a board. Funny enough, I've done it for 2 weeks and I can touch my toes for the first time in 10 years. So touch wood, we'll see what happens next year. But from a playing point of view, I feel as healthy and as fit and strong as I have done for a period of time. I think I look at my results the last 2-3 years, and I think that reflects where my mind has been. It's been a consistency of performance rather than looking over my shoulder or looking sideways at what other guys are doing and trying to play in international teams. I've just gone about and actually enjoyed my cricket. So hopefully I can do that for the next 10 years at Emirates Old Trafford. That'll be sort of what I'd love to do.
Good. Well, I wish you all the best with that. What about the structure of the game, the way that the English county game is set up at the moment? Nobody will profess to say that it's perfect or ideal. What's the view from not necessarily the dressing room, but the senior players in the counties that you must talk about and with? What's the view about where the game should be and how it should be played and marketed?
I suppose it's probably two different things. Played, there is a lot of cricket. We play a lot of cricket. It's back to back. I think there's times in the fixtures where we're less than 24 hours between finishing a game and being on deck in the next game. So it is ruthless. The intensity level of the cricket we play has definitely gone up a yard. It's not accepted anymore to cruise through games. You have to sort of go 100%. It's just the way the cricket's being played. 4-day games, there's no, like you say, if you lose a session to rain, you can't take your foot off the gas and just pedal in as a bowler. You have to run in. Young Bales runs in, they're about 3 foot tall by the end of the season because they just slam
Hard
away.
work, yeah. Is it ever?
So I think there's a general feeling that we do play a lot of cricket. The way it's marketed, obviously, the more cricket we play, the more chances to get bums on seats, more revenue you drive. I suppose it's an evil two coins. How much do you play compared to how much revenue you want to drive from a management point of view? And that's a big chunk of cricket or time we take out of the cricket season in August to play essentially 8 games, 9 games. So I think that's maybe condenses the other 4.5 months. But again, that's your prime time TV, so it's hard to try to manipulate square pegs with round holes the rest of the season.
Do you get the support from Lancashire as players and as a team that puts you into position to win trophies?
I'd say we do. I think we've got the best medical and off-field staff in the country, in my opinion. Quality of person is unbelievable. Facilities, we have a great facility at Old Trafford. It is about making sure that you go out and perform. The onus is on lads. There's always things you can point fingers at and try and improve. Obviously, there's no environment is perfect. But at the same stage, how much ownership do players take on? How much ownership do a commercial side take on in order to try and make everybody a little bit more professional? There's everything provided, and we need to make sure we go and we take ownership, absolutely.
And this may sound a stupid question, but I've got to ask it. 2024 is only a month or so away, but the season, what are the plans for 2024? Relatively new composition of team. You're going to have to fill 3 or 4 slots.
Yeah.
What's your general outlook?
General outlook's probably twofold. You need to make sure you expose younger guys, not in a bad sense, but you need to make sure you expose them to professional cricket. We saw young Bell, young Matty Hurst, Baldy had a really good year. Aspie was in a couple of squads. So you've got guys coming through, but you need to expose them to playing time. Allow them to make errors, back them, and let them grow their career. So general outlook's making sure from one point of view we do that. From a second point of view, we produce guys for England. We do that through winning, performing, and guys putting in those match-winning performances. And then a third, which is ideal, is winning trophies. That's how we do that. Is again, we have a really good overseas. Can I mention Lion? Leave him out. Okay. An ideal is having sort of really good players, making sure we're putting in those performances that get us over the line. Consistently, we start the season against the champions at home, and it's a big game. We play them twice this year. It's making sure that you perform against the top teams, because they're the teams that are ahead of you in the league, and you want to catch up that point difference. So it's a tough one when you go how. But I suppose how is exposing youngsters, making sure that longer term they're okay. Your older guys, myself pointing that finger, they perform to allow your younger lads the wiggle room to potentially make errors and put in match-winning performances. And hopefully that, come September, actually gives us a bit of silverware to lift.
Well, it's good to hear your enthusiasm and drive is perhaps higher than ever, actually. And
Haven't quite turned cynical yet.
Well, no, you're certainly not, which is good. So really enjoyed the chat. Best of luck as we move into 2024 and your second year as captain, and let's hope it's more successful than it was last year.
Cheers, well, thank you very much, mate. Good to chat.